Hey everyone, so haven't really been keeping up with the videos. I really wanted to continue doing the tarot on here, um, but I'm having a lot of trouble like articulating, um, the readings and everything, and just my method. It comes off probably like I don't know anything, which I think I just have a lot of self doubt that every time a card comes up, I think I know what it means, and then I'm usually half right, but I still have to keep breaking to check it, and I don't think people like that. So, um, and I was kind of inspired because back in August, I did a video on here with a tarot, and it was fairly accurate considering everything going on, really. But it was kind of a basic reading, but I think that for what it was really accurate. Um, my cat's down here. It's like, do you want to come up or no? No? Okay, she doesn't want to come up, apparently. So, I did do a reading for 2021, and I was trying to share it, and I just felt like very insecure about it. I could try to summarize it at some point. Um, oh, there she is. You want to come up and play or not? So, anyway, I've got my decaf. My friend and I basically we won this in the arcade right before everything got locked down. So anyway, um, I just wanted to come on here and say what I'm working on. You could say spiritually. It's been really hard. Um, it's like we can't feel good and functional as human beings until we have, I don't want to say perfected ourselves, but that's what it feels like. I remember saying like at least a couple years ago or something, and I would say to myself like, I'm being asked to be perfect, to never do anything wrong. And no, that's not really what we're being asked to, do. It's perfectionism is really usually it's only known in the third dimensional in the physical realm of what do you have to offer the world, and what you offer better be more than I expect. That's a loose off the cuff interpretation of perfectionism in the three-dimensional world. And so what we're being asked to do is being higher dimensional, beyond the physical, beyond the ego, not without ego. Here, come on. Ugh. Not without ego, but knowing where the ego is, where its place is, and its place is not in the driver's seat. And I had to learn that lesson a couple years ago, um, the hard way. I would say since 2015 for me, I have had exponential spiritual growth. And fortunately, it always comes in the form of trauma. And it's usually self induced trauma for the most part. And at the time, it doesn't feel like that. And then afterwards, you're kind of like, yeah, I guess I did ignore my emotions on this. I guess I was making bad decisions. I guess I was making compromises, especially to myself. Um, and yeah, you can kind of figure that out, but at the same time, it doesn't remove the fact that this spiritual growth is so difficult on us. It is so hard. I don't even know. Like the last year, I've had really bad instances. Something yesterday, which seems kind of frivolous, and I'm just going to talk about that briefly before I end the video because I do not want this to be longer than 10 minutes. But, sip. The last year has been excruciatingly painful for me. I've struggled with anxiety and depression my whole life, and 2020 was not only a new year, but a new decade. I felt this very empowering feeling. It wasn't the idea it's like 2020 clear vision, blah, blah, blah. I hate that. I just, it sounds like whatever. But it just, there was some type of energy with the year, or it's the decade, I don't know. But yeah, I don't even think about when I'm playing with her now because I know what her patterns, and just like, what is she doing? So yeah, and those feelings were really crushed. We all know what happened in 2020. But it wasn't just that. It was um I had to have emergency surgery, and I don't know if I talked about it on here, but basically the nurse was abusive. Um Not physically, but she refused to give me care. She yelled at me, ran off, screaming at me that I need to finish my report when I had issues that I needed to get out of bed for. So, and then to top it off, when I reported her, the person whose title was apparently the head of patient experience turned out more of a like a employee relations person, because she was protecting the employee and thought I was not privy to the disciplinary actions that were going to happen to her. It sounded like they were just protecting the nurse because she's a hero, you know. So that was traumatic, and let alone the physical issues of the surgery that came out of nowhere. It wasn't something planned, you know. So and I would argue the stress of the year and the events that happened is what probably tipped things. Whoa, tipped things, over for my body. And a lot of people would say, and I agree with it, that part of spiritually healing is your body has to kind of do this catch up. And for me, in my experience, my spiritualness, my soul, my body, my whatever, yeah, my spirituality grows way faster than my body is at. And so I have these huge physical issues. The year before that, so 2 years ago, I had these neurological issues I might have talked about before. So yeah, it takes a toll on you. And then yesterday, I was doing a food delivery because, I have to make some money. Yeah, we just got a stimulus, but I'm not, $600 is not, that stuff. When you're poor, you save $600. You're not stimulating anything. You want to save that for a rainy day. But yeah, I was on a whim, had to do some groceries, and then I was doing a delivery, and there was some miscommunication for sure. Long story short, I was on the street in my car outside of this person's house. They weren't getting their food, and there was this miscommunication whether they were going to pick it up or whatever. So, long story short, they came out of their house, and they were like waving like this. So I didn't know what I was like. Are they waving me by, or are they waving me to put my window down? So I'm naive and thinking they're gonna say like, "Oh, sorry for the confusion," la la la. So I put my window down. He yelled at me saying that. Well, first he said, I know you dropped off the food," yelling at me, and then saying, "You need to leave. You're creeping me out." And I was like, "Huh?" And I was just in such disbelief, and I felt so threatened. And maybe under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have been so panicky, but I just was so. And it's not even just you feel like physically threatened because you're on their turf and you don't know what they're going to do, and of course that's a threat. But I also just feel the hostility of humanity, the hostility in this world is so I can feel it in the grocery store. I can feel it. I feel like if you do one wrong move, one wrong look, people are going to snap. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of articles for the last year or two of the strangest, craziest things that people are doing. And it's not just in bad neighborhoods. I think it's crept up everywhere. I've never experienced stuff like this personally. So, and then if you're time, well, here we go, over 10 minutes. So wrapping this up, I've been thinking a lot in the last, and feeling a lot in the last day, that I'm worried, and I think what worries me the most is seeing how humanity is not ready for truth. Humanity is not ready, and they're not privileged to earn that truth. And we are all in it together. I don't like to say that. Better or worse, we are, it seems, that people like me and us, we won't get the official truth until everyone catches up. And I'm just seeing this split of people, like there's us. Hopefully I'm not doing any weird hand symbols accidentally. There's us. We are on this path of spiritual growth and bettering ourselves and connecting with our souls. I remember for many years ago, it was about just being a good person, and then it turned into being authentic, and now it is a very strict uh, pursuit to connect with our soul and bring that into the third dimensional reality. Because the third dimensional reality, for the most part, it does not have, people are not working from their mature true emotions and the spiritual higher self. They're not. They're programmed heavily, and people are just running off of those programs. And so there's humanity, and this is the split. Humanity going there, and then there's the others that are doubling, tripling, quadrupling, etc., down on feeling of fear, insecurities, hostility, disconnection, power, power and control, and people that that's what I'm seeing, and it's at our front door now. And I don't. I wish that, and I hope there would be one day where the truth would just be revealed, and even if it's done in the way it's being done now, is this very trickled backwards way. Like, for example, election fraud has, oops, I said the word, has always been a thing, but I hope I don't get like, anyway, election fraud has always been a thing, but it's being discussed in such a backward way. Like, it's I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. Like the media, you would think, for just an example, the media would be actually trying to expose it, but it's backward where the president is trying to expose it. So there's many instances where I could point out how the truth is being trickled out backwards, but I don't have time for that. So I guess I'll end it with this because I gotta wrap this up. I think we're being called from the other side and our higher selves. We are being called, not asked, but we're, in a way, we are being asked because it's still voluntary to choose the path of enlightenment. But we are being asked to look at, while our ego can get wrapped up in the hostility, we can find ourselves wanting to lash out at others and retaliate. We are now being asked, there is no more time. And I know other people have been saying it, but now it's hitting me now, finally, in 2021. There is no more room and no more time to coddle the ego anymore. There is the soul. There is a higher dimension, 4D, 5D, what have you. I can't talk about that right now. It's cut it short. But it is there. And if you listen to it, for me, it's taken years now to actually feel like, because this is why, okay, so this is why when you're working in the three-dimensional world with only really the ego, you only feel the ego, you're wrapped up in your thoughts and anxieties, and you're comparing yourself to others, and you're running off of these programs, which the ego is very susceptible to. You are, gosh, how do I say this? Well, I got sidetracked, but anyway, okay, so you basically never get a chance to develop that soul. So you're always focused on the ego. And if you choose something high, okay, so yeah, this is what I was saying is there is something higher. There is a true self and a higher self, and it's something else that is more authentic of you as a whole being and not just this ego. But when you're only working with the ego, let's say you're trying to make a right decision versus a wrong decision. When you're making the right decision, if you're only working from the ego, it feels like you're ignoring your ego. It feels like you're ignoring, like you're choosing the soul, but you don't. That's the thing. You're choosing the better decision, which connects with your soul, but you're going based basically on faith alone, blind faith that the soul exists. And I did this for a long time, for like my whole life, and I would just feel awful because I was like, why do I keep putting myself in these tough positions and I'm getting no benefit? Well, because I'm still living very much from the ego, which expects physical manifestation of things, and things just to be easier and to be recognized and have a certain status and power from making these better decisions. And it always kind of feels like time and time again, it never serves you. But it's starting now where I have confirmation the soul is there. I have the connection. It's there. So now when you're making those better decisions and you want to run over someone's mailbox, just for example. So, when you have that feeling and you're like, well, you know what? I'm going to be the better person. Like being the better person. I think that's what I was trying to say before. Being the better person, now you realize what that actually means, and it's worth something now. But it took years for me, maybe I'm just stubborn, but it took years for me to understand where I was headed. And now it's actually happening. But it did help over the last few years having some, at least once a year, having some confirmation there's another side. But a lot of the in between is just the synchronicities and the that have helped me continue on the path. I don't know what they mean specifically, but they help me to continue being that better person and connect with my soul. And it actually seems to be increasing synchronicities, but also those somewhat synchronicities where you're kind of like, you start believing in something just from what you've experienced, and then you hear other people talking about it, and they're very specific lessons that you know, new lessons you've never heard of, and then you hear other people saying it in a certain way, in certain words, and that just tells me, yeah, we do have a collective consciousness. And if I'm bettering myself, it's helping someone, and you know, maybe through an etheric realm or something, it's getting to them. So that's what we're being called to do. So let's wrap this up now. That's what I wanted to say, and it took me 20 minutes to do it. Thank you for listening. Bye.